Welcome to Visions of Our People, where we feature brothers and sisters who have followed their vision to build businesses, institutions, or services that serve, profit, and uplift our community. Listen as we share the ideas, experiences, and skills that help to shape their unique stories of commitment, perseverance, and triumph. Be inspired and catch your vision on Visions of Our People. Now, here's our host.
Pamoja Tutashinda, brothers and sisters, together we will win. This is Kafin Mwafrika Moore, your host and producer of Visions of Our People. Today we're sharing the vision of Sister Brionte McCorkle. Sister Brionte earned her bachelor's degree in public policy from Georgia State University and minored in Spanish. In 2014, she led the Georgia Sierra Club's involvement in the successful effort to expand MARTA, which is the Metropolitan Area Regional Transportation Authority in Atlanta, to Clayton County, Georgia, and additional efforts to expand transit in Metro Atlanta and throughout Georgia. Sister Brionte now serves as the Director of Engagement at Eco Districts. There she advances equitable and sustainable neighborhood development. She is always looking for opportunities to continue to influence public policy through the government, private, and nonprofit sectors. Sister Brionte believes that people from all walks of life deserve to live in healthy, sustainable, and connected communities. She works to achieve this vision by equipping people in the community with tools to self-organize and by building strategic partnerships to push for and implement solutions that protect the environment, create equitable and inclusive communities, and reduce barriers to civic engagement. How did you get involved in the Black Slate?
Well, the first time I really heard of the Black Slate was during election season. I ran for Atlanta City Council last year in 2017.
Okay.
And I ran for Southwest Atlanta, District 11. I came, really close, 156 votes short of the runoff. So it was it was a long year, but it was a good year. I was a little disappointed when we lost, but we put in a lot of work and we were doing a lot of really great organizing, and we came closer than I think anybody expected. And I couldn't have done that without the Black Slate. I got an invitation very early on to come interview with a group of people, all volunteer. This squad of people that had all these questions about, what I was going to do for Black people if I were elected to council. And I thought that it was an opportunity to have some of the most honest conversation about why I was running in the first place. Mm-hmm. I'd been all over the city at all kinds of forums, talking about why I was sort of in the race. And I think this is the first place where the group really understood and embraced, the core reason, which was that for me, I wasn't from Atlanta, so it was kind of bold to run in the first place. But for me, I've been here for a while. This is where I know I will stay. I plan on, keeping my roots here. My daughter's been born here.
Okay.
I was a military brat, so I moved around a lot. Mm-hmm. And, growing up, nowhere ever really felt like home until I got here. But more importantly, growing up, I heard about Atlanta, and as a young Black woman, you hear about Atlanta as this place, this Black Mecca, right? That's the reputation mm-hmm. that Atlanta has had for so long. And, if you travel to other parts of the country, Black people don't live like they live in Atlanta. I mean, at least you don't have as many examples of Black people living in different, situations, right? It's here in Atlanta, you've got all these examples of successful Black people in any number of industries. You see them able to sort of be successful. And of course, that's not the story for every Black person in Atlanta, but it certainly is for more than there than in other parts of the country. And so I just wanted to come here and to be a part of this. And I know that since I've been in Atlanta, the number of doors and opportunities I've had as a young woman of color wouldn't have happened in other parts of the country, right? So to me, Atlanta's always been this really special place for Black people. And I sort of, in my time here, have seen that slipping away. I've seen it slipping away as the city grows and decisions about development have been made. And resources are being given, and rich people keep getting richer, and people keep moving into the city and buying up houses and flipping them and changing the whole character and neighborhoods. And there wasn't a strong enough push to stop that. In my opinion, there weren't enough people organizing to say, hey, look, we can grow, we can, embrace all these new people, but we don't have to lose Atlanta's history and lose Atlanta's culture in the process. And we certainly don't have to, eliminate the opportunities that have been here for Black people in the process. And I think that, there's just not enough attention being paid to it. There was a lot of people talking about it, but talking isn't doing. And I've seen Blackness sort of used as a tool here, kind of like it's something you want to be proud of and brag on when it's convenient, but doing the actual work, the hard work of challenging, racist systems and, redirecting resources, and, our leaders haven't pushed enough in that area, in my opinion. And I don't want to diminish the work that they've done, because I've been in this space. I know it's hard to make change, and I know it's hard to definitely, control where resources go when they're not your own. And the city doesn't own everything, I get that. But to me, they could be more forceful in providing guidance and direction to the people who do have the resources. I've seen them miss a lot of opportunities where they could have made and gotten a lot more for Atlanta's Black community, and they did not. And so I just wanted to do something about that before we lost, Atlanta as it was, before people showed up to Atlanta 20, 30 years from now and asked the question, what happened to all the Black people? And so it's funny, because I was running in Southwest Atlanta, and so many people were like, oh, well, you don't want to talk about that. Don't talk about that. You're not going to win. It's not going to resonate. It's crazy, because this Southwest Atlanta is mostly African American. So why wouldn't it resonate? So,
it's interesting. So being pro-Black that's anti-business.
Well, that's actually a really common, a very common thing that people believe. They believe that being pro-Black is being anti-business. And that theme came up in this governor's election as well. Stacey, I don't even think Stacey had a super pro-Black platform, but she's an African-American woman, didn't shy away from that. The Republicans and the conservatives in the state took that as that she was somehow going to be threatening the state status as the best place in the country to do business, with some of her policies, which would have helped Black people. So it's just sort of this common myth that people hold, that somehow pushing for equity, pushing for resources to be sent to the Black community, spending some time on that issue means not focusing on business.
Was the Black Slate successful in getting candidates elected during this last election?
Yeah, I think so. I know every candidate didn't make it, but I think what was important was that they had a presence, and that they were asking about, in a very intentional way, what these candidates were going to do for, what they were going to do for Black people, and definitely raise the debate. I remember reading an article, because they definitely, were noticeable, and so all these people were trying to figure out who the Black Slate was and who was funding them, and what was, there's this whole article, because, they saw the slate had been put out, the candidates had been endorsed, and there were people who were out, knocking doors and waving signs, and, this organized group and that, people hadn't seen in quite some time. But it did have reputation still for people who've been around in Atlanta for a while because the Black Slate had been active before, when it was first founded in the 1970s.
My sister, can you give us an update on the Stacey Abrams bid to become the first Black female governor in the country?
Yeah, of course. I think that when I found out Stacey was running, I was ecstatic. I was super happy. She was one of the first legislators I ever spoke to in my career. And the first time I was at the Georgia State Capitol, I needed to go talk to her to talk about some legislation to expand transit. And so she was just really very sharp, very very helpful in explaining sort of the lay of the land in terms of what the challenges were to get the bill passed, and asking questions to make sure she understood it, and just being incredibly helpful. And that's what you would expect from your legislator, but not all of our legislators are like that. Black or white, everyone's got, not everyone's a strong legislator, but Stacey certainly was. So, she had this unique challenge of, again, having to work across the aisle to get things passed, and knowing where to make compromise and knowing where not to make compromise. And I think having a governor in office that knows how to do that, and especially on behalf of Black people, is a really great opportunity for us to really make some real progress here in the state of Georgia. Because, it's going to take compromise. Again, the state doesn't have all the resources, right? So someone that can do that, I thought was going to be good. So she waged a really strong campaign. She did a lot of grassroots organizing, had offices, across the state, really trying to go out and get the vote out. They did a really great job getting people out to vote who don't typically vote in governor's elections, who don't know how influential this election is, or that it comes every 4 years. We tend to focus on the big elections, the presidential election, and that's when people turn out. So Stacey did, I think, had a really smart strategy of spending a lot of time focusing on turning would-be voters out. So at the end of the day, the vote has become really close. This is the closest race we've had in Georgia's history. We had Brian Kemp, who was the Secretary of State, which in the state of Georgia means that they basically manage the entire election process. And her legal team, because they came prepared, that's what I love about Stacey. She came prepared. She had a squad of lawyers ready to go because they already knew what they were dealing with. They knew the devil that they were facing. She was ready for it.
So would you say that they messed with the wrong one?
I would definitely say they messed with the wrong one. They messed with the wrong one at the wrong time.
Brothers and sisters, you have been listening to Sister Brionte McCorkle, who works with the Atlanta Black Slate Incorporated, as she gave us an update on the results of the Black Slate success during the 2018 midterm elections in Georgia. For more information about the Atlanta Black Slate Incorporated, you can visit the website at www.blackslateatl.org or on Facebook at Black Slate ATL. You can also call Brother Takuma Hill at 404-456-4186. And you can catch Visions of Our People on YouTube at Kafing Moore or on Facebook at Promote the Vision. And you can support our podcast on Cash App by sending your donation to $Kafing Moore. And join us again for more Visions of Our People.
Thank you for joining us for Visions of Our People. We hope that our stories of commitment, perseverance, and triumph have inspired you to follow your vision of creating businesses, institutions, and services that uplift our brothers and sisters, serve our community, and make us the great people that our Creator made us to be. We wish you peace and blessings, and we invite you to join us again for Visions of Our People.